And in for Chris Demm, we have BB Shea.
What is going on?
Chris Demm wouldn't want it any other way.
Of course.
Absolutely. Here's what's happened. Here's why Chris Demm is not here today. He's been called for jury duty. It has happened.
Sure
it's
he has.
real. It's a thing. You get it. Of course, you have to go in and do your community duty, your civic duty, and be perhaps on a jury, at least be at the courthouse. So 6 weeks ago, he said, hey, I may have to do jury duty. This was at a time he was going to get a day off. It was during a vacation. And a lot of people called in and said, well, here's how you get out of it. Here's how to get out of jury duty and not do it. And he basically just said, it's during my vacation, so they put it off until today. I never worried about it because I always felt like he'd call, you call that number,
Right.
and they'd say, okay, we've got plenty, we don't need you. That's always happened for me. Every time I've done it, you just call up, even on Friday, 2 days before, and they say, don't worry, we don't need you. For him, they need him. They need him in there.
I think since COVID that people have been called more. I think you don't get that deferment. You don't get
really?
to. I think it seems that way to me, but I've always had to go. I've never called.
Yeah, that's right.
And not
That's
been
right.
turned down.
You were
Always.
actually on a trial one time around Christmas for a week, right?
That's
A
right.
few days that you had to go in. And I always have felt like Chris Demm wouldn't be able to be on a jury because of two things. One, he's got a job in the media, but
Yeah.
then so do you.
Doesn't matter.
You're a TV man too.
They don't care.
Do you know yesterday I saw you on TV, and Dave does local weather meteorology, and I saw you on TV, and I don't know why I've seen you on there many times. I hadn't seen you in a while, and I flipped it on, and there you were, and I said to my wife, "Dave's on TV, Dave's on TV."
Yeah, he's there a lot.
Yeah, and then I texted you, and I said, "Dave, I see you on TV."
Like the past 14 years.
It was like, what? Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? He's been doing that for years. Years and years. And I don't know. And I used to see you a lot. I'd get up on Saturday or Sunday morning. I'd flip you on there. You'd be, now I'm off pickleballing.
Yes.
Dave's on.
And I saw you. I flipped it over, and there you are. I said, Dave's on, Dave's on. And my wife's like, so what? Why do you? And then I don't know why I did that. I texted him. It was I don't know what came over me to do
What were you
that.
doing in the house yesterday? In the morning.
Played pickle late.
Late pickles.
Late pickles. Usually I get up and go to the gym early. They canceled my early morning gym class, and so we delayed pickle by... For the summer, they've gotten rid of the very early. So anyway, I didn't have to be out of the house till 8:30. And I saw him, and I just stood and pointed, and it was like... And you were warning about...
Severe
rain,
weather.
Severe weather.
Yeah.
Listen to this. I always keep you in mind, too.
Thank you.
They say this guy doesn't do anything.
I say he works harder in the industry than most.
That's right. They say this guy does nothing. In fact, he's taught me a few things. You have. First of all, well, this is about weather. You've taught me more than this. You've taught me to put a paper towel in my salad. Okay.
Life changing.
What does that do?
That
Well, when you wash your salad, if you use when you
Stop.
because you should wash your salad.
Stop. First, let me say this. Start with explaining what a salad is to him.
Yeah. I know what the paper towel does. I'm trying to figure out what the green stuff
I
is.
know this
Why am I
man.
telling you,
Yeah.
BB Shea?
It was just a weird
that's a
thing to
good
do.
point.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
What he meant is, what's a salad?
You want?
well,
You'd rather have candy bar tips.
I've eaten with this man.
Dave will give you a great tip on food. He years ago, I was eating a lot of salad. I'm always on a constant health journey. You know that. And the problem I was having was it was after a day or two, I'd buy that bagged salad. After a day or two, it would get slimy. It would be all wet. And Dave said, you can combat that by putting a paper towel in the bag of salad, and it soaks up the moisture so the lettuce stays
Stays a little bit fresher.
He's right. He's
okay,
right. I've done that ever since. And I tell people when I'm in the produce aisle there in the grocery store.
People you don't know.
Yeah. I'll just go up to them and say, put a paper towel in that.
Hey, lady,
They back off. They back
Yeah,
off.
yeah, I would too.
Anyhow, yesterday we were watching Dave on the weather, and there's some severe weather coming. And you have taught me for years, when you see deep water, if you're driving, don't just assume your car is going to go through it. It can be overwhelmed and flooded.
It's true.
And you're right. There's a woman on the news today. We had it right here in our area. There's a woman on the news who did just that. She tried to drive through water. She had no idea how deep it was, of course, standing
Really?
water.
Okay.
And when she got in it, The car became overwhelmed. She barely got the door open. Here she is telling her story in her own words.
I thought it was the end for me. I thought I was dead, baby. I was like, oh, God, this is my last day on earth. Tried to open the door. I couldn't open the door. So I just climbed through the window. I ain't turned off the car, none of that. I climbed through the window. I ran over here, and then I fell. I fell in the water, face first.
You could have, if she had watched you that way, if she had been like me and go, there's Dave Aiken out there,
Yeah.
she would not have had to do that because she wouldn't have run through it.
Turn around, don't drown.
That's his thing, is turn around, don't drown. Exactly. So anyway, I was watching you on TV.
Yes.
Now, Chris Demm is off at jury duty,
Yes.
and I thought he wouldn't be able to be on jury duty because he's in the media, but that's obviously not true because you've done it. You've done it.
No, they
many times.
questioned you before that, and they seem to, at least with most people, the times I've had to do it a couple times, they don't care.
Do you think it's because they just need people, just period? They just, is it like.
I think they need people now. I
Yeah.
think COVID changed things. I think people do get those jury summons,
Yeah.
and they don't go, which I think was the tip that they gave to Chris Demm.
That was the number one tip. When Chris Demm got called for jury duty 6 weeks ago, people called and said, ignore it.
Don't show up.
That was the tip.
Yeah.
Totally ignore it. Don't show up, and they won't come after you.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Don't you wish you were that brazen sometimes?
Yes.
Stuff like that scares me, man.
Well, me too.
Yeah.
And many people called.
Well, time was they said that they'd send a sheriff's deputy or a cop to your
To your
door.
house.
right.
That's right. Eventually, I think they do. I think they go after you.
I have a few theories on this.
Yes.
I shared this last week. One, I think as you get older, there's a more likely you're going to get
Yeah.
summoned for jury duty. They think, hey, you're getting close. Maybe you're retired.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got some time on your hands.
That's right. Yeah.
The other thing is that he did call and get it moved because he was on vacation.
So you think that means now this time they're going to stick
I
it
think
to
they
it.
go, oh, vacation, we'll grant you that.
Yeah.
But they're going to screw you later.
Circle his name.
Yeah. Because
think
that's
you're
why.
right.
Because it's like, I got to be at the beach.
I think you're right.
I
And he
can't
was.
be on jury
He did.
duty. I must be at the beach. I've got to be on Bald Head Island.
Who's going to watch the egrets?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
It's non-refundable.
Oh, you're right.
And I think that. So then they go, oh, we understand.
Okay, great
But the
point.
next time,
Great point.
you're going right to the. Oh, you're coming to court.
Yeah, we're not no phone call to
now,
get
he
you
might
out
not
of it.
get. There's no guarantee he gets sat on a jury.
That's right.
But we're at least going to take a day of your life away.
Yeah, that's right.
And make you come here
Yep.
in a hot,
Agreed.
stuffy courtroom.
Agreed.
Ask you questions. You know.
Let me tell you something. I owe you an apology. I owe Biggie another apology.
What?
This has to do with jury duty. Okay.
I wish it was Biggie.
Okay.
We could do a day without him.
I think Dem gets sat for 6 weeks on a murder case.
It's a possibility.
Just because God wants to get back at Kelly.
It's a possibility. That's possible. You know I
Although,
don't like it when he's
You know,
gone.
I thought of this last night. I don't think he will get set because
No.
he's been a victim of a violent crime.
That was the other reason. First, he's in the media. Secondly, when he was 16 or 17 years old, he was working at a drugstore behind the counter, and an armed robber came in. In fact, multiple armed robbers came in to rob the pharmacy and put a gun in his face.
Yeah.
Do you know that about it? You knew that about
Yeah,
him.
I heard that.
So unless this is just like money laundering,
Yeah.
if it's any type of robbery, murder, something involving a gun,
Yeah.
I think he's out.
I would agree. Normally, I would think they'd say, have you ever been a victim of violent
Yeah.
crime? He'd say yes. Now Dave can say that as well. He
Yeah.
was shot
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Watch him get sat on my trial.
Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, what?
It's still in the works, still in the pipeline.
It is still in the works.
I know. That's another thing. Somebody said in here several weeks ago, we were talking about crime and how prevalent crime is across America. And someone said, well, 40% of this program, half of this program, 2 of the 4 members of it have had guns either pointed in their face or shot
True.
at them. That's really upsetting, isn't it? I mean, through
Yeah.
the years, you're
Oh, yeah.
likely to have a gun pointed in your face.
Except Chris Dem, it was a musket.
Well, just a long time ago.
Mine was automatic
Long
weapon.
time ago.
They made automatic weapons.
Here's the apology I owe Biggie. You're not going to believe this. And it has to do with jury duty.
All right.
Several weeks ago, Biggie said, I'm watching this show on Prime Video.
So, yeah, it's free verse or free
Something,
V or
yeah. He says, called jury duty. And I was like,
yeah.
in one ear, out the other. I was like, okay, right, fine. Biggie makes another suggestion. Fine. Okay. So this weekend, Friday night, my wife says, I'm hearing good things about this show, Jury Duty. I was like, oh, that's that thing Biggie wants to watch. Let me prove him wrong right quick and watch this thing. And this is the most. I watched the whole series. The whole
really?
first. Well, it's only one season. I'm sure that's going to be it. It's called Jury Duty. I found it on Prime, but it was on you said free,
which is owned by Amazon or something weird.
So I go to it. This is the most creative show I think I've ever seen in my life. Are you familiar with this, BB Shea?
No, I don't know anything about it.
Let me tell you this, okay? This is, to me, it was the best concept for a television show in maybe ever. I mean, it's unbelievable what they did. They call a guy for jury duty, just like Chris. Regular guy, he's going in for jury duty. And they said, and by the way, we're filming a documentary on what it's like to be part of a jury. So he goes in, he's on the jury. He is picked for the jury. He winds up being foreman of the jury. The whole time he's answering questions from the documentary crew about it. Well, what he doesn't know is every other person on the show, the other 11 jurors, the alternates, the courtroom reporters, the judge, the attorneys, the defendant, all actors, all in on it. And all these crazy things happen during the trial. And he's like, what's going on? I can't believe this. It's a complete joke on him. And they keep throwing obstacle after obstacle at him to see how he'll handle it. And if he'll be fair with it or if he'll take advantage of the other jurors and so forth. And it is mesmerizing to watch. And you realize, okay, he's the only one that doesn't know. They tell you up front, he's the only one. Everybody else is just following a script, and they react to what he's saying. And one of the best things about it, there's an actor that you may have seen in it named James Marsden, who is in, he's in X-Men.
He's been in he's the guy that is in everything that you're like, oh, that's the guy. He's been in X-Men. I mean, he's in Sonic the Hedgehog.
He plays himself, and he plays just enough of a kind of a full of himself actor that you think it could be real. I mean, you'd never suspect he's doing it, but it's so funny because he says there are certain things that he does in it. They're just hilarious. The whole thing is laugh out loud funny.
Does it go crazy far? Like, does the judge light a cigarette while he's sitting on the bench or something?
No, I'll tell you.
Never to the point where he would ever say this is a fake, but enough that you're like, this is crazy.
Just enough stuff, and that's where he's interviewed a lot. And he's like, this is wild, man. But it's never so over the top that you think that it's fake.
Exactly. And he never guesses it. And afterwards they have an interview with all of the actors and him. And all the actors are like, well, I thought this would give it away. You know, it's so over the top.
But you realize how many near misses and close, because you got to realize the actors are also having to react in real time. To what he's doing. It's almost like improv in a way.
Because they have to do one thing if he does this and one. Like, for instance, at the beginning, this was interesting. He's sitting there waiting for jury duty, and there's James Marsden, who is a real actor. I mean, a real, you might recognize. I don't think I would, but he's been in a lot of movies and stuff. So they have one route to go if the unsuspecting victim recognizes him, and they go another route. They have to send in another actor to say, "Aren't you James Marsden?" and get a selfie, and that's the way they start interacting. You know, it's and they engineer it so he sits in a certain place so he'll be on camera. It's really incredible. I mean, it is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And the whole time I said to my wife, Biggie suggested this 6 weeks ago. My wife said, and my wife watched it before I did. She goes, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. And it really was unbelievable.
Well,
I suggested.
There's just some so little funny parts, not without giving anything away. One of the jurors he's with, like as he's walking by him, he's like, kind of stretches. He's like, no, I got to go rub one out real quick. He's like, and you see his reaction, you're like,
that's right. He does. Like, one of the jurors, he walks by, he's like, I'll be in the bathroom and rub one out. And the guy's like, huh? What do you? And so he goes, well, then, like a day later, that guy who was going to go rub one out has an accident, hurts his back real bad, and has to be removed from the jury. So one of the alternates has to come on. So the fake documentary is interviewing everyone about the juror who is gone, and they're all saying, my interaction with him was so deep and so personal. And the only interaction he's had with him was, I'm going to go rub one out.
He's one of the nicest men I've ever met in my life. He changed me.
How long were they sequestered?
17 days.
Yeah.
It was a 3-week thing, and the guy... He did. I guess he was between. He was some sort of. He has a job where he was between jobs, and they knew that. And at the end, I'll give this away. At the end, they reveal it to him, and they say, "For your trouble, we'll give you $100,000."
Damn.
So you know, so at first you're just like crushed for him. Then they give him $100,000, and like, here's the joke. But see, he made friends with all the jury members, and they're not real. I mean, they're all actors. So when it was done, he's like, well, wait a minute, you're not the guy. You're not the person, you know, because they all had real quirks about them, you know. They were
a good
real
concept,
weird.
and I bet that template might work for maybe, I don't know about another jury thing, but
I don't know if they can do that
Here's why it was so perfect. And I thought, what else could you do it with?
Yeah.
And it's almost nothing, because when they got into the jury, you can't leave. They sequestered them, and they took their phones.
Have to, yeah.
So they couldn't be apart from each other. They were always in a hotel together, and they had no way of knowing because they had no phones.
So these actors are in it too.
I mean,
they're in for that.
They were.
I'll tell you, James Marsden might be my favorite actor now, just based on this.
It's unbelievable
because he plays himself. Like I said, just enough. Like for example, in one scene, he's talking to him about a movie. He said, "Oh, I rented a Sonic the Hedgehog last night, and I watched it."
Mm-hmm.
And James Marsden goes, "Did you rent it digitally or did you buy it?" He's like, "Well, I rented it." He goes, "If you would have bought it, I'd have got $5."
It's really, really well done.
It's really, and everyone plays it just right.
The concept is just unbelievable. And then I thought, could you do it like at a gym or a radio station or wherever? But you can't, because the guy could leave. I mean, it's jury duty. You can't leave.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're on it.
Yeah.
And that's where Chris Demm is today, on jury duty, and he will not be here, at least for today. That's it.
Yeah, and it was so realistic when they sequestered them, like at the hotel, they'd split them in half and half.
Yeah, that's right.
they did everything right to make it so believable.
They did. It was amazing.
That's on Amazon.
That is on
now
Amazon
it is,
Prime.
yeah.
It's called Jury Duty, and by the way, it's 8 episodes and they're 28 minutes apiece. So
Short,
it's
yeah.
quick.
Oh, beautiful.
Watched it all weekend and really enjoyed it. Now, the other thing I watched last night is a great juxtaposition here. BB Shea will appreciate it. It was on. It was Scott Pelley on 60 Minutes doing a piece on artificial intelligence. You know how it scares me.
Oh yeah, scares a lot of people.
Yeah.
It should. It's a proper attitude.
Well, you could tell Pelley was scared by it. He was at Google headquarters. Now, you know ChatGPT. We've discussed that a few times.
Yes.
And he was at Google's headquarters. They've got something now called Bard, which is almost the exact same thing. And he would give it, like, an instruction, and he was blown away by it. He do you know that, I think it was, I forget, Ernest Hemingway, who wrote, like, Baby Shoes Never Used. You know that little 6-word thing that he did?
Yeah.
So Pelley said, complete that story, and it wrote a 500-word story in 4 seconds. It was like, whoop, and there was, all the characters, and they were made up. And then he said, okay, now do it in poetry form, and it took it 5 seconds, and it was done. And so Scott Pelley was like, I'm frightened of this. And the folks at Google say, well, you shouldn't be frightened of this, but it's, how will humanity use it? And the guy at Google said this will affect every single job in the world in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
It'll either put you out of work or affect your work. A doctor will have an assistant that is AI. So when he comes in, his patients, the worst go to the top, and he's got suggested things to do to work out for this patient. While all that was going on, I'm watching Scott Pelley and, ChatGPT and Bard, and it was just overwhelming. You can't even think about how, you can't wrap your mind around it. I was playing online solitaire. And my wife looked at me and said, are you playing? And I was on my phone playing online solitaire while Scott Pelley was saying, the future is so frightening I can't even put it into words. And I do believe it's going to wipe us off the planet. I think the machine. I've seen Terminator 2. I think that will be the rise of the machines, and I think it'll wipe us off the planet.
Well, you're keeping yourself grounded.
That's what I thought. That's what I said.
In the early 90s, early mid-90s with solitaire?
I'm all over solitaire right now.
Do you still look over at your wife in the other recliner and say, honey, look, and all the cards are blowing up?
Yeah, I got it, yeah. But last night I didn't win. I could not win. I kept trying. I know. I kept trying and trying.
AI.
But exactly. But when I finally won, I was like, and
honey,
it was going nuts.
Honey, look.
The cards were all over the place.
What was Scott Pelley saying?
He literally, and he had the owner of the CEO of Google was like, "This should frighten you very, very much," and it's true. I mean, it really, it just blows your mind.
Yeah, it's going to change the world.
Agreed. ChatGPT has done for the first time officiating of a wedding. I just saw that. This is a couple got married and had a robot perform the ceremony.
Thank you all for joining us today to celebrate the extraordinary love and unity of Reese Allison Winch and Dayton Truitt. We are honored and grateful to have each and every one of you here. We witnessed the joining of two souls in love, and on this remarkable day, we also embrace an extraordinary moment of innovation. As we have the privilege of being part of the first AI-officiated wedding, we eagerly look upon this ceremony not only as a celebration of your love, but also as a symbol of unity between humanity and artificial intelligence.
So he did the wedding. That was artificial intelligence doing that.
Yeah. Good luck finding an AI judge for your divorce.
Well, Dave will point you in the right direction for that.
You're going to need humans, unfortunately.
Well, maybe. I don't know. The thing also
what about a judge that's a computer you sit in front of?
Yeah, because it has no...
It knows all the laws.
Exactly. Isn't that crazy?
How far does it go? How far do you allow it?
All the way, according to the...
When do we have AI juries?
Yeah. That are completely
impartial.
Absolutely right, because they have...
just at facts.
Exactly. That is such a great point. We wouldn't need jury duty anymore. Why would we? No, what humans would even need to go in there and do that?
But it doesn't have emotion or feelings, and you can't see it.
No.
It can't see your face.
Here was the problem with it. When Scott Pelley was doing this piece on 60 Minutes, he had it write a huge report on some enormous topic, the future of mankind or something, and it suggested 5 novels to read. At the end, it's like reading material for you, and so it wrote this 50-page paper, and then 5. None of the novels were real. It had been fooled. It doesn't just go out on the internet. I don't even know how. I can't even explain how it gets its information. These chat GPTs and so forth. But when it did that, it didn't know. It made up stuff because there's fake stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
So it goes and takes it as fact. It can't disseminate between fact and fiction.
It's a liar.
Yeah, it is. And the guy from Google said, just like humans, it starts to lie to it. And at one point, the guy from Google said, well, it taught itself how to speak the native language to Bangladesh, and we didn't program it to do that. We're not sure how it did that, but it just did it. It really
somebody had to
start. It's starting. It's the beginning of the end.
Oh, well, right there. That's really. It was. I was scared to death.
Should be.